Yo, what up, everyone? Tay here. And today I wanted to talk about something that I briefly mentioned in the last video regarding the Russo brothers' plans to finally bring Wanda and Magneto together on film for Avengers Doomsday, and how those plans could also tie into what's going to happen in Avengers Secret Wars. And before we get into it, if you missed my last video on Dr. Doom's Avengers and the secret villains we'll see in Avengers Doomsday, it is linked in the description down below if you want to check it out. I think it is a good one. And then also remember that if you would like to leave a super thanks with a question or a comment, that it is almost the end of the month where I will be doing a video to go through all of those super thanks. So yeah, if you'd like to leave one of those are greatly appreciated. And as always, if you are a fan of Marvel and the MCU and you are not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing because overly detailed, super nerdy videos on the MCU is what we talk about here.
Feeling depressed? Like the world goes on without you? Ask your doctor about Nexus that works to anchor you back to your reality. Or the reality of your choice. Nexus. Because the world doesn't revolve around you. Or does it?
Alright. So in my last video, one of the things I talked about was all of the different heroes and villains who could end up joining sides with Dr. Doom throughout the events of Avengers Doomsday, basically because they believe he has the better plan to stop the incursions. And one of the characters that I of course mentioned was Wanda Maximoff, because as most of you know, for months now there's been numerous different leaks and rumors saying that besides Doctor Strange and Franklin, that Dr. Doom's other closest ally in the upcoming Avengers films will be Wanda, and that there could even possibly be some kind of romance happening between the two. Now, honestly, as time goes on, I become a little bit less sure about the whole romance part, because there is a bit of an age gap between Elizabeth Olsen and Robert Downey Jr. that might be a little too risky for Marvel Studios to show in a movie. You know, they might not go for that. But that aside, I do still think there is a very good chance that some version of Wanda could end up being one of Dr. Doom's closest allies and biggest assets in the upcoming Avengers films. And I didn't go into a lot of detail about Wanda's potential plot with Dr. Doom in that last video because it is something that I've already talked about in the past. But recently, there's been several new scoops that have dropped suggesting that Elizabeth Olsen will actually return to play at least two versions of Wanda in the upcoming Avengers films. One who, of course, will be the Wanda that we know from the 616 universe, and then also a new variant of Wanda who will be introduced that is from the X-Men universe that we saw at the end of the Marvels, and that we know will be one of the central locations that we will see in Avengers Doomsday. And, you know, this whole idea of there being another variant of Wanda who plays a big role in Avengers Doomsday isn't really all that crazy in my opinion, because we already know from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that there are many different variants of Wanda who exist out in the multiverse. Plus, we've also heard reports that there will be several different actors who will be playing multiple different roles in the upcoming Avengers films. And then plus also the other thing is that this actually isn't the first time that we've heard this. Because earlier this summer, back when Avengers Doomsday first started filming, there were some scoops that came out saying that with the current version of the Doomsday script, that it included the Brotherhood of Mutants, and that in the movie this team would be led by Magneto, and that it would also include his children, including Wanda and Pietro. And, you know, now that these scoops have started to swirl around again, I thought that this would be a good time to revisit this idea, because the more I think about it, this honestly seems like exactly the kind of thing that Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers would want to do. Because we know that Kevin Feige has an affinity for the Fox X-Men films because that is where he got his start. And I also think they would be interested in this because it could directly connect back to some of the loose plot threads from those past Fox X-Men films. And it's already been confirmed that both Magneto and Mystique will be appearing in Avengers Doomsday. And then besides that, there's also been rumors that Evan Peters will return to play a variant of Quicksilver. And then, even though it hasn't been officially confirmed, we all know that Elizabeth Olsen will also be returning as well. And the whole Magneto and Wanda story is something that fans have wanted to see on screen for forever. I mean, even Elizabeth Olsen and Ian McKellen have talked about this in numerous different interviews over the years on how they would love to work together, and if Marvel could figure out a way to finally adapt the Wanda and Eric father-daughter relationship in a future project, how they would be really eager to make that happen. And with Doomsday and Secret Wars coming up, this is literally Marvel Studios' last chance to make that happen with these specific actors. Now, in order to break down the details on how this could potentially play out, first we have to break down what's going on with the X-Men universe that we are going to see in Avengers Doomsday. Because I've seen a lot of people online who are assuming that the X-Men universe that we'll see in Doomsday and the one that we saw at the end of the Marvels that Monica got stuck in, that universe is actually Universe 10,005, aka the Fox X-Men universe that we last saw in Deadpool and Wolverine. And while that's definitely a possibility, I don't personally think that's going to be the case, because between the events of Days of Future Past, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Logan, there's just a few timeline issues that could make it a bit overly convoluted. I mean, honestly, the whole Fox X-Men universe, the timeline was always screwed up. And even though Days of Future Past and Logan and Deadpool and Wolverine, those are all great movies, the timeline is still kind of complicated. And with Avengers Doomsday already having so much going on and so much story to tell in a short period of time, I'm just not sure if the Russo brothers would really want to bother with making it the exact same universe when they could just say it's a different universe that's very similar. And that's actually exactly what we've heard in past scoops, that this universe that we saw at the end of the Marvels will actually be a divergent X-Men universe that will be very similar to the alternate 2023 future that we saw at the end of X-Men Days of Future Past, but that in this divergent X-Men universe, things will be slightly different, that certain events will have played out slightly differently, and that is why in this universe, even though it's very similar, there will be different mutants and heroes who also exist there, like Binary and Gambit. So if this turns out to be accurate, and this universe is a slight variation on the one we saw at the end of Days of Future Past, then like I said, I think that the Russo brothers will likely use that as a way to pick up on some of those loose plot threads from the Fox X-Men films. Like, for example, in Days of Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse, it's confirmed that Magneto is Quicksilver's father.
You know him? Magneto?
Why do you care so much? You see a speech on TV or something?
Yeah. He's my father.
What?
And just a quick reminder, in the Fox X-Men films, Quicksilver's name is actually Peter Maximoff and not Pietro. So if I refer to him as Peter and not Pietro, that's why. But anyways, so yeah, one of the plot threads that the Russo brothers could pick up on is the fact that Quicksilver's father is confirmed to be Magneto. And I bring that up because in X-Men Days of Future Past, we also see that Peter has a younger sister who is shown in a princess costume. And back when Days of Future Past came out, a lot of people mistakenly thought that his sister in the princess costume was actually meant to be Wanda Maximoff. And that is not the case, although Bryan Singer has hinted that it might be Polaris. But if you watch the Days of Future Past Road Cut, it's also revealed that Peter Maximoff does actually have another sister that lives in the house, but is never actually shown on screen, but is mentioned.
Go upstairs and bug your sister.
Go upstairs and bug your sister.
But she bugs me.
And after that movie came out, Bryan Singer, the director, confirmed that that line of dialogue was meant to be a reference to Peter's twin sister as a way to confirm that a version of Wanda Maximoff also exists in this universe. And if Peter Maximoff's twin, his twin sister, is Wanda Maximoff, then Magneto would obviously be her father in this universe as well. And this actually wasn't the only reference to Wanda Maximoff in the Fox X-Men films. because there's actually even an older reference to Wanda in X-Men 2 that you can see on William Stryker's computer on his list of mutants that he's monitoring. But anyways, the whole reason I bring all of this up is because this is exactly the kind of loose plot thread that I could see the Russo brothers picking up on as a way to finally adapt Wanda and Pietro as Magneto's children in Avengers Doomsday. Now, one minor issue with this is that with the events of Days of Future Past taking place in the 70s, this would mean that this version of Wanda from the Fox X-Men universe would have to be like 15 to 20 years older than the version of Wanda from the MCU 616 universe. And this is just another one of those reasons why I think that this X-Men universe that we saw at the end of the Marvels being a divergent X-Men universe makes more sense, because then the Russo brothers can still loosely tie certain events from Avengers Doomsday into what happened in the Fox X-Men movies, but without it being strictly tied down to the messy timeline of those films. And back when those initial scoops dropped a few months ago about the Brotherhood of Mutants appearing in Avengers Doomsday, I did talk a little bit about it in a video where I said that I could potentially see the Brotherhood either joining forces with Doctor Doom or possibly taking on a role similar to that of the Cabal in the Time Runs Out and Secret Wars comics. And I mentioned that because if these scoops that we've heard about the Brotherhood being in Doomsday are true, then this could potentially tie into other leaks we've heard regarding Wanda teaming up with Doctor Doom. That maybe it won't actually be the 616 version of Wanda who works with Doctor Doom, but that it will instead actually be this variant of Wanda from this divergent X-Men universe. Which, if this was the case, then perhaps it wouldn't just be Wanda, but also Magneto, Pietro, Mystique, and the rest of the Brotherhood who are working for Doctor Doom as well. Because a few months ago, there were some set reports that came out that Ian McKellen and Robert Downey Jr. had recently filmed a scene together. And back when those came out, most people assumed that this was likely a battle sequence being filmed between Magneto and Doctor Doom. And again, while that's definitely possible, it's also possible that this could be a scene that somehow sets up Doctor Doom and Magneto actually working together. Because something that we've heard from some of the larger Doomsday plot leaks that have dropped over the past few months is that Shuri will be the one who discovers the incursions, and that the MCU 616 universe is about to have an incursion with this divergent X-Men universe. And according to the leaks, once Shuri discovers this, she calls a meeting in Wakanda with members of Sam's Avengers, the New Avengers, and the Fantastic Four. And once everyone is there at this meeting, what it says is that they discover that not only is this X-Men universe where Monica is, but that this is also where Doctor Doom has been hiding with Franklin. And this is apparently the backstory of how the Avengers and the Fantastic Four will end up in this universe and getting into this huge battle with the X-Men at the X-Mansion. And as I'm sure many of you guys will remember, earlier in the summer, there was this big batch of set photos and set videos that leaked online showing this trashed courtyard with debris strewn all over the place. And one of the things we saw in those set photos is blown apart pieces of different Sentinel robots with tarp over them. And according to these past plot leaks, this is because during the battle between the X-Men and the Avengers, Doctor Doom will send a team of Sentinels under his control to attack both sides and slow the Avengers down. And ever since those leaks came out, there's a couple of things that I've been wondering about. For one, what are the chances that Doctor Doom would just happen to be hiding out in the same universe that Monica is in? I mean, there's literally infinite universes for him to hide in. So obviously there must be a story reason for why he's in this same X-Men universe, at least at the beginning of the movie. And then the other thing that I've wondered about is how does Doctor Doom find out that the Avengers and the Fantastic Four then travel to this universe in the first place? Because if he sends the Sentinels to attack, then he must know that the Avengers are there. So maybe the answer to this question ties into everything I've been talking about, and that the reason that Doctor Doom is in this universe is because he's actually been working with Magneto and Wanda and the Brotherhood, and that they could be the ones that are helping to hide him, and that they are the ones who tip Doom off when the Avengers and the Fantastic Four arrive. Now, of course, this is just theory talk, but it would make sense based on what we've heard in these different plot leaks about Doctor Doom also being in this Divergent X-Men universe at the beginning of the movie, and how he knows to send the Sentinels to attack. And one of the other things that I like about everything we've been talking about in this video regarding there being two different versions of Wanda is that it kind of allows us to have our cake and eat it too when it comes to Wanda's role in the upcoming Avengers films. Because this way, we would get to see Wanda as a mutant and as Magneto's daughter existing in somewhat of a more villainous role without it affecting the overall story and path for the Prime version of Wanda from the 616 universe, because it wouldn't be her, it would be a variant. And one of the other things about this, if this is true, if there is going to be two different variants of Wanda, is that this could possibly set up the 616 version of Wanda to have a huge triumphant return as one of the biggest heroes of the story in Avengers Secret Wars. Because one of the things you have to remember is that even though there are many different variants of Wanda who exist in the multiverse, only the 616 version of Wanda is the Scarlet Witch. Because how it was explained in WandaVision is that the Scarlet Witch is a singular multiversal entity who inhabits Wanda, and this is what makes her a Nexus being. So if we do end up seeing a variant of Wanda working with Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday, then maybe that could make the 616 Wanda a huge part of the plot in Avengers Secret Wars. I mean, for example, what if in the Secret Wars movie, a part of the hero's plan to stop Doctor Doom is that they have to find the real Wanda and either rescue her or resurrect her or whatever, because the real Wanda is the only one who is truly powerful enough to defeat Doctor Doom and defeat this other Wanda variant working at his side. So basically, Wanda could almost be like the big MacGuffin of the Secret Wars movie, because her power is the only thing that can stop Doom and also help rebuild the multiverse. And then after Doom is defeated, maybe it could be Wanda and Franklin who combine their powers to recreate the multiverse the same way that Franklin and Molecule Man did in the comics. I mean, again, it's just a theory based on different scoops and leaks, but it is one that I do think could play out pretty well with the plot of Doomsday and Secret Wars. So yeah, you guys let me know what you think of all that and leave your nerdy Wanda, Doom, and Magneto theories in the comments down below. And I think we can call it here for this one, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did and you'd like to support the channel, please leave a like or share the video. That really helps a lot. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you would like to leave a super thanks with a question or a comment on this video, I will be getting to those in just a few days as the month comes to an end. So yes, if you'd like to leave those help out a lot as well. And yeah, come follow the channel on Twitter. Check out my last video if you missed it. And I will be back soon with the next one.